I'm Dr. Kristen R. Bromley. This Guitar 101 series, which is part of my online music academy, is a beginner through intermediate level guitar course similar to the in-person ones I teach at the university. The course progresses from complete beginner through gaining capability in playing songs in various styles and covers playing chords and melodies and reading chord symbols, tablature, and standard music notation. With the Guitar 101 course, we use 3 of the books from my method book series: Chords and Harmony books 1 and 2, Note Reading books 1 and 2, and Tablature, which are all available for purchase through Amazon and Google Play. Links can be found in the description below or at kristenbromley.com. You are of course welcome to participate in this course with or without the books, but with the books you can play right along with me on all the songs and exercises as intended. Plus, each book comes with exclusive access to additional hours of in-depth video lessons that go with each part of that book. If you find this Guitar 101 series helpful, please like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's get to jamming in this week's lesson. Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online music academy. I'm so delighted to have you here. This is lesson 24 of the Guitar 101 series. In this lesson, we're going to review all the new types of chords that we've covered, like add 9 chords, slash chords, suspended chords, major 7th chords, minor 7th chords, 6th chords, diminished and augmented chords. So those types of chords that we've covered gone over the last few lessons. So I'm going to be reviewing those off the top because you run into them from time to time. In this lesson, of course, and the lessons in this Guitar 101 series, we can't go into too much of detail on each one or learn every voicing that's out there, but we get familiar with them so that when you run into them, you'll kind of know what they are, and you'll know where to go looking for how to play the one you need. In the videos that come with the Chords and Harmony book, it goes into much greater detail on all those. So if this is something that interests you, you're going to want to go with those videos, go through the different lessons in much greater detail. In this lesson, though, we'll also be working with the tablature on those lower strings. In the note reading, we're going to get into reading in the key of G and E minor, so we'll learn more about keys and learn what that is. That's going to be great. With the chords, we'll finish off learning some new strumming and working with the finger picking and also reviewing the bar chords all over the neck. So lots of great things that we're doing today. Let's go ahead and jump in with the chords, reviewing these different types of chords. So we're going to start on page 111, really 111 to 113, and review a little of these concepts. So on page 111 in the Chords and Harmony book, I learned that there's different ways to voice the chords. So we've talked about this before. I can play a G chord like it's first introduced in the books with the 3 fingers on, fingered middle ring pinky, or I can do an index middle ring. Or here we see that we can play a G with 4 fingers, index, middle, ring, and pinky. This one's used in more of a pop rock setting. The other one's used in more the folk and hymn, and then depending on what we're doing, if we're finger picking, we're almost always using the 3-note one. So you just kind of have to decide which one sounds best. One has a doubled 3rd of the chord, the other one has a doubled 5th. And so, depending on what you want, play both of those. With the chords that we're going to be playing today, we want to use the G that has all 4 fingers on. There's also an example of E7, E versus E7. The second one's a little more bluesy. And actually, for finger picking, if you want to actually have the chord sound like a dominant 7th, then you would want to use the newer one there. Those are just 2 examples. We've also done some bar chords though, so we know that we can play G like this, we can play G like this. We've played the 4-finger F, we can actually play G like this. These are different voicings of G. So that's just a review on voicings. As we go through these types of chords, we're just looking at a voicing. There are multiple ways to play them. We're just looking at a good voicing for each of these, and the book teaches a good voicing, a good type of voicing for each of them. Okay, so we're going to flip over to page 112 and see add 9 chords. So we learned that we can take a major or a minor chord. If we look at both pages 112 and 113, we can take a major chord or a minor chord, so just the triad, root 3rd and 5th, and we can add the 9th to it. And that's called an add 9 chord. So C add 9, for example, a major chord with the ninth added. The chord symbol for these needs to have the word add 9. If it just has a 9 and no add in front of it, it's a different type of chord that we'll learn about in future lessons. We need to see that add 9. Root, major third, perfect fifth, and the ninth added. The one that we're going to play is the C add 9, so you can grab that one. On page 113, we also see that minor chords can have the ninth added. For example, E minor add 9. So the ninth can be added on top of a minor chord, root, minor third, perfect fifth. Those also in the chord symbol need the word add 9. It's usually going to be in parentheses because otherwise it'll look like mad 9 if a lowercase m is used. If a dash is used, then it's not, doesn't matter. But if it's a C with a lowercase m to tell us it's minor, or any root with a lowercase m to tell us it's minor, and then we put add 9, it looks like mad 9. So usually there's parentheses to separate out the add 9. We're going to play number 1 on page 113. So we're going to use that G chord and the C add 9 chord. Just down, down, up, up, down, up. 1, 2, ready, and we got G. And open. I love those sounds. We run into those sounds in songs from time to time. So that's an introduction or a review of our previous introduction into add 9 chords when you run into those. There's voicings on page 112 and 113 for the ones that we commonly see in first position or that we could run into. And then there's also bar chord versions. The bar chord versions are a little hard to finger, and since we're just working on bar chords right now as is, I'm not going to go over the bar chord versions, but if you get to where you want to learn the bar chord versions, there they are. So we're going to go on now to page 118 and 119. We're going to talk about slash chords. So on pages 118 and 119. So slash chords, we're going to have the root on the left side of the diagonal line, and then we're going to have the chord that we're playing on the left side of the diagonal line, and then we're going to have the bass note that's replacing the root, which is usually the lowest note of the chord. We're going to have an alternate bass note written there. So you can see examples on page 118 right there at the top. D over F sharp. So we say the chord D and then we say what it's over. That's how we pronounce that. So the slash distinguishes between the two and it tells us what it's over. It's over an F sharp. Just if it's an actual straight across horizontal line, that's a different type of chord. Those are called polychords. It's actually 2 chords on top of each other. Not as easy to play on guitar, but on piano it's really easy. You could have, for example, C over G or something. So in your right hand you would have a C chord and in the left a G, because the C chord would be on top of a G chord. Those create polychords. We usually sort of look at polychords differently on the guitar. In future lessons we'll learn about 9th, 11th, and 13th chords. Jazz chords, a lot of times these can be explained in polychord format. But there's also other types of chords, like suspended chords can sometimes be explained with polychord symbols, and it really makes sense on the piano where you can see the 2 hands and put them down, but on guitar it's a little trickier to actually see 2 chords on top of each other, so we don't use those very often or run into them very often, but occasionally we do. In here though, we're just looking at the slash chords. So D over F sharp, the next example is A7 over E, so it'd be an A7 over an E. I should have played a D over F sharp. There's multiple ways to finger these, of course. You'd have G minor over B flat, or D add 9 over A. So some nice sounds. Really, when it comes to add slash chords, with major chords, you can have any note from the major scale. The triad or the chord the major chord can be over any note from the major scale. So you'll see that as an example there. C, C over D, C over E, C over F, C over G, C over A, C over B flat, and C over B. So the major scale plus the flatted seventh. When it comes to C7, or dominant seventh, so the C7 examples, it's usually the third, the fifth, the flatted seventh, or the fourth. We usually don't see it over the 2 or the 6. And that's the same with the minor. We usually see them over the flatted third, the fourth, or the fifth, or the flatted seventh, but usually not the second or the sixth. So if you look over at page 119, here's just sort of an example. And these are here to just kind of hear and see different voicings, and if you ever run into needing one, you could go through in first position. There's examples here on page 119, but A, and then A over B, A over C sharp, A over D, A over E, A over F sharp, A over G, A over G sharp, and A. So it just shows examples of going over those notes in the major scale and also including the flatted seventh. So there's examples on those pages for the minor chords and the major chords and the B7 that's in first position. So gives you some examples there. Then we're going to go over to page 123 and actually practice playing with G over B. But I will mention that on page 122 there's also examples for the movable shapes, so the bar chord shapes. So if you need a bar chord shape, then you've got examples there as well. And of course, the book, the videos that come with the book itself, go into much greater detail, so there's actually practicing with each one of these. We're going to look at number 26 on page 123. It's got C add 9 that we were just playing, and then G over B. And there's an example there for G over B. Sometimes guitarists will just play the inside 4 strings when playing G over B. Sometimes we'll include that top string. The example there shows the top string, so I'm going to go ahead and use it, and the reason for that is you're going to C add 9 to G over B. We're getting this bass movement. So, and then we have C and E minor. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. We'll play this whole progression. We'll do the 2 halves done with repeats as written. When we get to the place with 2 chords per bar, G and D, then it'll be down, down, up, up, down, up. We're going to catch the up. We're going to catch the new chord on the up strum. Here you go. 1, 2, ready, and we got C add 9, G over B, add 9, G over B, C, and D. Let's repeat. Back to C add 9, to G over B, then the C, and the E minor. We've got C add 9, to G over B, and the C, and the D. Going on. We've got C, Okay, so that's a little review of the slash chords. We're going to go on to page 129 now and look at suspended chords. So the first type of suspended chord, and the most common type that we'll run into most of the time, especially in pop music, different popular styles, is the suspended 4 chord. And so with this chord, it takes the major third of the chord and replaces it with the 4th of the scale, the perfect 4th interval above the root, and it creates a suspended sound. So here's regular A and suspended. It's written there with C, so I probably should have done it with C. C, E, G, C, F, G. Creates a little suspension. So we're going to do number 1, and for that one we need A sus4, we need D sus4, and we need E sus4. We've played all of these before. They sort of follow the same pattern. The top place where we have the top string, the highest string where we have a finger, that one goes 1 fret higher to create the suspension. That's for A, that's for D, and that's for E. So we're just going to do this number 1 nice and slow. 1, same strumming pattern as last time. So we're going to go down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, ready, and we got A sus4, D sus4, and E sus4. And again, A sus4, D sus4, and E sus4. Let's do it a third time. A sus4, and D sus4. Once more. A sus4, D sus4, and E sus4. We'll end there on A. Okay, so that's the sus4 chords. We run into those quite frequently. If we go over to pages 133 and 134, we'll see about sus2 chords. So with the sus2 chords, instead of replacing the third of the chord, major third or minor third, doesn't matter, with the fourth we're going to replace it with the second. So it has a major second above the root. Sometimes it's in a higher octave. So with A sus2, you'll notice that where we have that finger where we were going up for sus4 to the 3rd fret, it's just going to be open. So we're going to have A sus2 there, nice and open. Take that finger off. That's A sus2. And then for D sus2, which is the other one we're going to use, and we've played these before, it follows that same pattern. They don't all, but it works for these two. Where normally we have the 3rd on the high string, now we're going to play the open. So it's 2 frets lower than the major 3rd is how we get to that major second. So see the D sus2 and the A sus2. I didn't mention it, but with the sus4 and the sus2 chords and the dominant 7 sus chords, there's also the bar chord versions written there. They're quite a handful, and since we're just working on normal bar chords right now, the major, minor, and dominant 7th, we're not going to mess with these here. But if you'd like to learn them or end up needing one at some point, they're here in the book. And of course, the videos that go with the book itself go into great detail. So they cover those if you need a video lesson for that too. So we're going to go, though, on over to page 134 and play numbers 2 and 4, practicing with these sus2 chords. So A sus2 for number 2, and then we'll use D sus2 on number 4. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. A sus2. E minor. We got the G, D, and the A sus2. We're going to repeat A sus2. To E minor. To D, to D, to A sus2. Let's do it again. We got the A sus2, E minor, G, D, A sus2. Once more, A sus2, E minor, G, D, and A sus2. Just to end there. Let's look at number 4. Same progression, only we're using D sus2, so we're in a different key here. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. D sus2, A minor, Okay, so now we're going to go on over to page 138 and look at the dominant 7th chord with a suspended 4. So sometimes we run into the dominant 7th chord with a suspended 4. Before we play these, I should mention at the end of that last lesson, which we didn't go over, it shows that sometimes the 4 and the 2 are both included. So it could be a sus4 add 2, sus4 add 9, that sort of thing, where both of them are there. And those are kind of fun. They show up once in a while too. They're not near as common as a sus2 or just a sus4, but occasionally we may run into wanting both colors in there. So I just mentioned that. Okay, so here on page 138, we're looking at dominant 7th chords that are suspended. So we have played lots of dominant 7th chords: A7, D7, G7, C7, B7. Played a bunch. E7. So we can suspend these the same way that we suspend just a major chord. So we replace the 3rd of the chord with the 4th and it becomes suspended. So if you take a look at A7 sus4, you'll know it's the same movement as we had for A sus, where we took our 3rd of the chord and went up a fret. The difference here is that we've got the 7th in it as well. So it's now A7 sus4 instead of just A7, or sorry, just A sus. It's A7 sus4 because it's got that 7th in it. So take a look at A7 sus4, and then we're gonna play number 1 using down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, up, 4, up. 1, 2, up, 4, up. Here you go. 1, 2, ready, and D. So now we're going to look at major 7th, minor 7th, major minor 7th, minor major 7th chords. Going over to page 143. So we've been looking at major 7th chords before. We're going to start on page 143. Major 7th chords take the major chord and they add the major 7th to it. So this is a special coloristic chord. Major chord with a major 7th. So A major 7th. The chord symbols for these, we're going to see the root, and then we're going to see maj 7, M-A-J 7, or a triangle in front of the 7, or a capital M, an uppercase M in front of the 7. Something has to be in front of that 7 to tell us it's a major 7th. If all we see is the root and then the number 7, that's actually our dominant 7th chords. A7, B7, D7, G7. So if we see that, just the root plus the number 7, we're playing a dominant 7th chord. But if it says G major 7 or G triangle 7, then it's the major 7th version. Or C M-A-J 7, it's the major 7th. And you can hear that these have a very rich coloristic sort of flavor, instead of that bitey dominant 7th chord that has a tension that really wants to resolve home, which is how those function in the songs that we usually play. So take a look at C major 7, where you just take your index finger off, and also F major 7, because we're gonna play a progression with both of those. So you can kind of hear how those sound. I think we've played these before, so it's a familiar one. Then flip the page on over to page 144. I will mention as we're doing this, on the right side where these diagrams are, there are movable shapes. In the next few lessons, lessons 26, 27, and 28, I'll actually be going through these. They're more jazzy shapes, these movable shapes. So we'll be looking at those in those lessons, starting in lesson 26. In the next lesson, which will be lesson 25, we're going to look at alternate tunings, which changes things, and that's kind of fun. Okay, so here on page 144, we see the examples of the dominant 7th chords, which we're familiar with, so I'm just going to leave that there. Then we come to the minor chords. We have a minor chord with a major 7th. These are kind of rare. I think they sound sort of James Bondish. So here's like the A minor, major 7th. There's a tension in there to have that minor chord with the major 7th. Very pretty, but we don't run into them very often. We're not going to actually play one of these today in this lesson, but they're there to be aware of. The chord symbol for those is going to have something telling us that it's minor right after the root, and then something in front of the 7 telling us it's a major 7th that's been added to the minor chord. So a triangle, uppercase M, you might see maj or something, but usually with the minor chords that gets long. So we usually see a triangle or a uppercase M, capital letter M. Minor 7th chords, on the other hand, are minor chords that have a minor 7th. So you might remember these. So a minor 7th, a minor chord with a minor 7th. You'll notice the difference between A7 and A minor 7 is just that that note, where we've been changing it around on that second string, 2nd fret, goes down a fret, and that's where it becomes a minor chord instead of a major chord with a minor 7th or a flatted 7th, which is the dominant 7th, versus a minor chord with a minor 7th. With these ones in the chord symbol, these are the more common ones that we actually run into. So all you're going to see is the root, something telling us it's a minor chord, and then the 7th added to it. So it's just for the major 7th that we have to have something in front of us to tell us we have that special major 7th color. So you'll want to take a look at the E minor 7 and the D minor 7 for the ones that we're going to play. So E minor 7, you just pull a finger off and we just have the one finger there. D minor 7 is actually sort of like the little 4-string F with changing the root to D minor 7, which is interesting because those two chords are closely related. Okay, so once you've got those, we're going to go on over to page 148 and do number 7. So with this one, it repeats on the first line, so we're going to play the first line twice. And then when we get to the second to last measure, we have a repeat sign again. So we got to go back to the beginning, play the first line twice, and then we play through to the end. Okay, so we're just going to use down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Here we go. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, ready, and C major 7. We got the F major 7. We're going to repeat C major 7. We got the F major 7. We got the E minor 7. To the D minor 7. To the E minor 7. The F major 7. C major 7. F major 7. D minor 7. And G7. Then we're going to play the C major 7. The F major 7. Repeat the C major 7. To the F major 7. Then we go on to the E minor 7. To the D minor 7. To the E minor 7. To the F major 7. C major 7. The F major 7. D minor 7. G7. We end there on C major 7. So we get to explore those sounds that are so great. Okay, we're going to look now at pages 159 and 160. So we're going to look at the 6th chords. We've talked about these before as well. So instead of adding a 7th to the chord, we can add step 6 of the scale to the chord. We always add the major 6th. It's always a major 6th interval above the root. So the A major 6, for example, you can see that voicing there, has the root 3, 5, and 6. So in this case, it's voiced root 5, root 3, 6 is how that's played there. We're going to need the A6, and But we don't say A major 6, we just say A6. But we know that we're adding the major 6th, whether it's a major chord or a minor chord. So we're going to need that one. You're also going to want to take a look at G6, which just pulls off of the high string, so it's just open on the high string. So we add that 6 there. And then you also want to take a look at D6. So we're going to play those 3. So A6, D6, and G6. We've got the movable shapes there. They're really used a lot in jazz, and as I mentioned, in lesson 26. So a couple lessons from now, we'll be going over those. If you flip the page over, though, we see the minor 6 chords. So these are minor triads that have a major 6th added to them. We're going to be looking at D minor 6. So you can grab that one. Note that the chord symbols for both of these just add the 6. So if it's a major chord, it's the root and the number 6. If it's a minor chord, it's a root, something telling us it's minors, like a lowercase m or a dash, minus sign, and then we'll see the number 6. So, okay, so assuming you are ready with D minor 6, we're going to flip on over to pages 162 and 163, and we will do number 7 to start off. We're going to do number 7 and number 8, and then we'll go over and do number 10. So down, down, up, down, up. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, ready. We start with the E minor 7, then the A7, then the D6, then the G6, E minor 7, let's look at number 8. So it starts with A major 7. We didn't learn A major 7 when we were there. I talked about it, but I'm just going to show us. Instead of the open string on the 3rd string, it's with the 1st fret. So if you play A7 and then add your index on the 1st fret of the 3rd string, you have A major 7 there. It's really pretty. So we have an A to the A major 7. It's just like so. Just sliding that index finger over. If you're using index, middle, and ring, you can just slide your index over 1 fret and you get A major 7. So you're going to have the A major 7 to A6, which has that bar, E7, and back to A major 7. Down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, ready, and we've got A major 7 to A6 to E7. Kind of a nice sounding progression. Now if we go over and do number 10 on page 163, we're going to have D minor 6, A7, B7, and E minor 7. So we're using that E minor 7 again. Down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, ready, and D minor 6 to A7. E minor 7, A7 to D minor 6. Repeat. D minor 6 to A7, A7 to D minor 6, E7 Now, in the next few lessons in the book, it talks about 9th, 11th, and 13th chords. So we can add 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths to these chords. It also talks about chords with alterations. But we're going to get into those when we get into the jazz chords, because they're really only movable voicings is all that we really end up playing with that, which are really rich chords, so that's going to be fun. But we are going to look at diminished and augmented chords, which we talked about, or I talked about in the last lesson. So page 176 to 179, if we go there, we get a little review of what we did last time. So if we take a major chord and we sharp the 5th, it becomes augmented. So here's a C major, C augmented. So sharp 5. And the chord symbol usually has a plus sign, or you might see AUG period, aug, something telling us it's augmented. Now, last time, and we're going to do it again today, we learned E, and then we did the E augmented. And you can just do a little bar. It's like the F chord only on the inside, or if you want that top string to ring, you can reconfigure your fingers. But you can also just play it on those strings and not have that high E at all, which I kind of like. I didn't do it that way last time because I used the voicing that was written there in the book. All the voicings are nice. The voicings here kind of show you the full number of strings you could play, but you can also simplify it to less strings. So you got the E augmented, and then you'll remember the A augmented on those top, and the D augmented. So there's a review of those. We're going to go and play number 1 just like we did in the last lesson. You're going to have this switching back and forth between E and E augmented. So if you want to just review that switch between those two, whether you're reconfiguring your hand or just going to come over and make the little F chord bar and just mute the top string. And then you want to go back and forth between the A and A augmented, and you want to go back and forth between D and D augmented. We're going to go down, down, up, up, down, up. When there's 2 chords per bar, we'll just go down, down, up, down, down, up. So each chord will just get down, down, up. Here you go. 1, 2, ready, and we've got the E to the E augmented, to the E, to the E augmented, to the A, to the A augmented, to the A, to the A augmented. We got the D to the D augmented, to the D, to the D augmented, to the A augmented, to the D, to the D augmented, to the E augmented, and to the A. Now, it'd be rare to have a song actually have all of those like that, but you will run into them occasionally, and it's not unusual to have a regular old major chord turned into an augmented, creates a tension that wants to pull it somewhere, often to the chord that's actually a perfect 4th away. So from E, wants to go to A, kind of creates this nice little tension there. Okay, if we look at page 177 at the diminished, we talked about the diminished last time, which is where we have a root, the minor 3rd, and the diminished or flatted 5th. So the root, the flatted 3rd, and then the flatted 5th. Fingers blocked that a little bit there. So that just has a root, minor 3rd, diminished 5th, or flatted 5th. I kind of like the movable shapes, or just in a triad, just a 3-note thing. We've got some examples there, but we're going to go ahead and review that we've got the A diminished, and then we had the D diminished, and you'll probably remember that we had the E diminished. And I think I also mentioned that you can just mute the 2nd string when playing E diminished, you don't have to reach up there with the pinky if you don't want to. But you can just mute that second string. Once you've got those, we're going to flip on over to page 178 and do number 4. So we're going to go back and forth between the E minor and the E diminished. Got something in there I think I don't want. Which you can just mute that second string, or you can reach for the pinky at the 5th. Either way, but you want to go back and forth between those. A minor to the A diminished. I think it might be the easiest one because you just kind of have to rearrange the 2 fingers, the index and middle fingers. And then we got the D to the D diminished. So this one's really cool because you'll notice how we're flatting the 3rd and the 5th, and the roots are staying the same. So. Oh, and I'm going from D major, sorry. It needs to go from D minor. But it's kind of cool to see the major, how it's just flatting the 3rd and flatting 5th. There we go. Okay, so we'll play this one same way we did the last. Down, down, up, down, up, and then we'll go down, down, up, down, down, up, and we have 2 chords per bar. 1, 2, ready, and you got E minor. The E diminished, back to E minor, to the E diminished, to the A minor, to the A diminished, to the A minor, to the A diminished. Then we got the D minor, to the D diminished, we got the D minor, to the D Okay, so now that we've looked at the E diminished triad, let's go over to page 179 and take a look at the fully diminished 7th chord. So the fully diminished 7th chord, the chord symbol will have that open circle just like the diminished triad, and then it will have the 7. And when I say triad, I mean it's got 3 notes. The diminished 7th chord, the fully diminished 7th chord, adds a diminished 7th, so a double flatted 7th on top of the diminished triad. It's kind of cool. It's a symmetrical chord because all of the interval distances between each of the pitches is a minor third. So if I start on the root and then do the minor third, the diminished 5th is a minor third above the minor third, and then the diminished 7th is a minor third above the diminished 5th. And then it actually starts over. The root is a minor third above the diminished 7th. So it's symmetrical because it's the exact same distance between those pitches. And it could go on in theory to infinity in either direction. Because it's symmetrical like that, any note in the chord can actually function as the root. So the chord shapes shown below on page 179 towards the bottom third of the page, those are intended to be movable chords, so like bar chords, but we're working in first position right now. Later we'll look at these when we work on the 7th chords in future lessons and do some of those jazz chords up higher on the neck. When we do that, then we'll look at these as movable chords again. But right now we're just working in first position. So if you look at the shape that's under 4th string form, right there with that open circle, that's where the root, the lowest root would be, is an E fully diminished 7th. When we're playing these, it doesn't matter so much what inversion we're in, meaning which one of the notes is on the bottom. So any of those notes can function as the root. So this can be an E diminished, fully diminished 7th. On the 3rd string, it's a B flat or A sharp, so the chord can be in B flat or A sharp, fully diminished 7th. On the 2nd string, it's at the 2nd fret, C sharp or D flat, so the chord could be C sharp or D flat, fully diminished 7th. And then on the top string, it's a G, so it can be a G fully diminished 7th. So, as we go and look over at page 178 and look at number 4 that we just played with just the diminished triads, now we're going to play it with these fully diminished 7th chords instead. We're going to have E minor to E diminished 7th, and because that's an E, we can go ahead and just play the E diminished 7th. Then we have A minor. We need an A fully diminished 7th. Well, I have an A at the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, so if I put the shape there, it's 1 fret lower, and I've got A fully diminished. So my E fully diminished, and then my A fully diminished. The other one we are going to need is a D fully diminished. So I have a D there on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, so I can position the chord 1 fret higher than I did for E, and I'll have D fully diminished. Or I could actually go down and use the open D string, and I would have the D string open, 1st fret on the 3rd string, open 2nd string, 1st fret on the 1st string. I could play it either place. It's the same chord, different inversion, meaning a different notes on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to play number 4 using those chords. You might want to go back and forth between E fully diminished 7th and E minor a couple times as you get used to this. And then you'll want to go between A minor and A fully diminished 7th a couple times, and D minor and the D fully diminished 7th. You can do it either way. You can go higher or lower. I'll probably go lower, but who knows? It might be a little improvisatory and do it whichever way I feel like it in the moment, which is what you can do too. Okay, so here we go with number 4. Down, down, up, up, down, up. When we have 2 chords per bar, we'll go down, down, up, down, down, up, just like before. 1, 2, ready, and we have E minor, E fully diminished 7th, E minor, to the E fully diminished 7th, now A minor, to the A fully diminished 7th, to A minor, to the A fully diminished 7th, D minor, to the D fully diminished 7th, D minor, to the D fully diminished 7th, A minor, A fully diminished 7th, D minor, D fully diminished 7th, E minor, E fully diminished 7th, and A minor. Okay, so that wraps us up with the chords in this part of the lesson. Let's go over and do some tablature now. Okay, so in the tablature, we're going to start on pages 98 and 99. We're going to start with number 134, Scarborough Fair. We're really going to work here for a moment on these low strings. So, try and keep that index finger in the 1st fret, middle in the 2nd, ring in the 3rd, pinky in the 4th. I know I'm like a broken record on that. But the more I remind you, the more I expect you might just try and discipline yourself that way. Okay, we're in 3/4 time. I'll give us a 3-beat counting. 1, 2, 3. Rest. 3. Okay, that's a good warm-up. Now we're going to do number 135, In the Hall of the Mountain King. This one is on both pages 98 and 99. So we'll do the part on page 98, and then we'll go over and do the part on page 99. And that first line on 99 is repeated, so you got to watch for that. Here you go. 1 and 2 and ready and go and... Repeat and four and off. It's kind of a fun one, and it's a fun one to get up tempo and see how fast you can get it once you've got it learned. And the videos that come with the tablature book has got it at multiple tempos, and so if you want to practice along with videos on that, you can do that. And I'm not going to play all the songs in the book in this 101 series because there isn't time, so you can get videos with the rest of those through the videos that come with the book. Okay, we're going to flip though on over to page 100 right now, 100 and 101. And we're going to start with number 138, and then we're going to do 139. So this is another kind of fun, sort of exotic one. So it's an Israeli melody here. Probably familiar, but maybe not. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 2 and 3. And off. Kind of a fun one. Also one that's fun to get up faster and faster and faster. So you can do that. If you want to do that along with me, then do it with the videos that come with the book. Okay, so on to 139, F bluesed. So this melody, we're going to kind of swing it just like that. Because this one is written by me, it's not familiar at all. I'm just going to play through it so you kind of have a little bit of what it sounds like in your ear. So. And then. And. So that's what it sounds like. We'll take it a little bit slower here. 1, 2, ready, and 4 and 4 and 4 and okay, we're going to flip on over to page 102 and we're going to do number 140. Now, we've moved into a section called moving up the neck. So we're going to start reading tablature in positions that are higher than first position. So far, we've used the open strings in frets 1, 2, 3, 4. We've been in first position because our index finger has been in the first fret, and there after that is middle in the second, ring in the third, pinky in the fourth. For Arkansas Traveler, We're actually going to play this one from second position, and this will be our first introduction into playing in a new position. So we're going to put our index finger at the second fret, middle at the third, ring at the fourth, and pinky at the fifth. And this one actually has open strings, so we'll just play those open, but we won't be using fret 1. We're going to play this whole thing from second position, which will help us prepare for when we start playing melodies solely in second position, and then it'll be third and fourth, and we just move up the neck. So today we're going to do Arkansas Traveler. This is a fun old sort of bluegrass sounding, well, it's a bluegrass, traditional bluegrass song. So that's how the first half goes. The second half sounds like this. I will say, when playing this one, you can play the first half in normal position, first position, and then just do the second half in second position, or you can do the whole song in second position. I just played the whole song in second position, or the two halves. We're going to repeat both halves, and we'll play it just a little bit slower. This is also one that's fun to get as fast as you can. So, here you go. 1 E and go E and Okay, let's go on and do some note reading now. Okay, so in the note reading, we're going to be working on the key of G major and the key of E minor. So first we're going to start off on pages 67 and 68. First, right on 67. So as we start to talk about keys, which we really haven't done before, we're going to start learning about key signatures and what it sort of takes to make a key. So a key is a collection of pitches, really 7 pitches, that create a certain tonality. So we have major and minor keys, and then we have other modes that can create sort of various types of tonalities that come off of that go with dominant 7th chords and such. But we're really interested in major keys and minor keys because that's what we play in. The key affects the chords that we use, the key affects the melody notes. So we've mostly been playing in C major and A minor so far. Those keys have no sharps and no flats. Last lesson we started to work with sharps and flats a little bit, and then I mentioned that in this lesson we would start working with the key of G. And as we move forward, we'll work on other keys. And the book itself, if you go through with the videos with the book, which will go farther than the Guitar 101 course will go specifically, it will cover all 12 keys in major and minor, and even some explanation about enharmonic keys. But today we're going to talk about the key of G major. So what's it take to make the key of G major? Well, it takes the G major scale. So the G major scale versus the C major scale versus scales that start on other pitches have a unique set of sharps or flats. So the key of C major has no sharps or no flats, and when I put it in scale order, we hear a major scale. Scale order is alphabetical order, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All the notes that we've been playing have come straight from that. Key of C major. Now the key of C major has a relative key that's minor that has the exact same notes, and that's the key of A minor. A minor has the same notes as C major, but when we play starting on A, it changes the intervallic distance between the pitches as we go from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and it sounds minor instead of major. By comparison, A minor has a flatted third, a flatted sixth, and a flatted seventh. Each one of those are 1/2 step lower than they would be if we were playing in A major. A major would have C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. A minor does not have any sharps or flats. Versus. So that's the difference, but for every major key there is a minor key with the exact same notes. So because of this, each one has a unique key signature. So if you look at page 67 right in the middle, the key signature will sit in between the time signature and the treble clef staff. If you're in bass clef or using another clef, then it would be in between the clef sign and the time signature. For us, it's going to sit in between the time signature and the treble clef staff, that symbol there at the beginning. And then it should sit next to that treble clef symbol on every line. When we see that F sharp there, because the key of G is or E minor, I should say, because those are the only relative keys that have one sharp, we know that we're in G major or E minor. And then hearing the melody or the chords that are played will tell us whether we're in E minor or G major, because the chords will start on G or E minor and generally will end on G or E minor depending on what key we're in. So we have one sharp. So these keys each have some type of E, F, G, A, B, C, and D. So those 7 pitches, they have some version. They're going to have, though, their own unique specific number of sharps or flats. The key of C has none, as we mentioned, key of A minor has none. So the key of G has one sharp and it's an F sharp. So instead of playing F natural, we'll play F sharp. Later we'll learn about the key of D, which has a C sharp and an F sharp. And they have the relative keys. So we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now it's okay if this is a little overwhelming right now, but the important thing to know is that when we see in the key signature a note that's there, it means that throughout the entire piece of music we're going to play that note as the sharped or flatted version shown there at the beginning. So if that sharp sign or the flat sign is sitting on a line or space, that note that line or space represents is going to be the altered version, whether flat or sharp, depending on the sign, for the whole song. So, if we turn over to page 68, we're going to practice here a little bit with the G major scale. So we're going to start on the lowest G, and you can see a diagram up on the right side of the page. We're going to start on the lowest G. We're going to play all the way up to G. We're going to come all the way down, play the low E, and then come back to G. 4 plucks per note. We're going to alternate the direction if you're using a pick. If you're not using a pick, thumb, index will work, or index, middle, or you can just do all down plucks with the thumb. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready and go. And so G, A, B, you get the C, open D, E, F sharp, G. We're going to keep going. A, B, C, D, E, and then we're going to have F sharp, G, back to F sharp, E, D, Now we're going to do number 2, 2 plucks per note. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, F sharp, and G. Now we're going to do 1 pluck per note. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, F sharp, G. Okay, and so if we looked over at page 69, we'd see that the relative key of E minor, we could do that same thing with E minor instead. We're not going to, though. We're going to flip on over to page 70 and 71 and play a couple of melodies in these keys. I'll point out, we're going to start with number 9 on page 70. Notice that the first chord is a G chord, and that the melody sounds major. And then the last chord is a G. That's a sure sign that we're in the key of G major instead of E minor. If you look at number 8, which we're not going to play today, but it's... the melody kind of sounds minor, and we're playing with an E minor chord. So that's a sure sign that we're in E minor instead of G major. Okay, let's do number 9. So it comes in on beat 3. I'll give us 3, 1, 2, and then we'll catch that pickup. 3, 1, 2. 2. 2 off. Okay, let's go over and do number 12 on page 71. Shenandoah. Or in 4/4 time, comes in on beat 4. I'll give us a 3-beat count in, and then we'll catch that pickup. 1, 2, 3. 4, 1. 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, rest. 3, 4, 1, 2. 4, 1. 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, rest. 2, 3, 4, rest. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, rest. Okay, we'll go over to pages 72 and 73, and we'll do numbers 14 and 15. So Jamaica Farewell. It's got a little bit of syncopation. 1, 2, and ready and go, and... and 4 and rest. Okay, let's go do number 15 on page 73. Minuet in G. Might be a familiar Bach melody. We're in 3/4 time. I'll give us that 3-beat count in. 1, 2, and 3, and. 3. 3. 2, 3. 3 off. Okay, we'll continue to work on keys in the next lesson. Let's go back to the chords as we finish off this lesson today. Okay, so back in the chords as we finish off this lesson. We're going to do a little work with our bar chords, and then we're going to do a little work with the finger picking and the strumming that's a little newer to us. So here we go. We'll start off with the bar chords. We're going to start on page 101, and we're going to do number 17 there at the bottom of the page. So the first thing we need to do is locate the roots. There is an A flat on the 4th fret, 6th string, and that's the closest one to the center of the neck. The A flat on the 5th string is all the way up at the 11th fret. So we're going to start there. A flat and D flat are not alphabetically adjacent. So best guess, best place to look first is on to the other string, so the 5th string for the D flat. And yes, we have one at the 4th fret, so we can play our major chord there. So A flat major and D flat major. 6th string form, then the 5th string form. There is a D flat up at the 9th fret, but we're on the 6th string, but we're going to use the one at the 4th fret because we want to minimize shifting when we don't need to do it. The other chord we're going to need in this one is E flat, and so there's an E flat, D flat, and E flat. D and E are alphabetically adjacent, so it's nice and close there. 6th fret at the 5th string. We'll just go ahead and go down, down, up, down, up. 1, a 2. A 1, 2, ready, and we got A flat to D flat to A flat to D flat to A flat to D flat or up to E flat. Let's repeat. We've got the A flat up to D flat back to A flat. We got the A flat and D flat, and then we got the E flat, and then we'll end there on A flat. Now if you need to, you can go ahead and stretch. Even if you don't need to, it's not necessarily a bad idea to get those muscles, those tendons and ligaments really in the fingers all stretched. This is the muscle that likes to feel it. Okay, so we'll go over to pages 102 and 103, and we'll do numbers 18 and 19 first, and then we'll go over and do 21 through 23. So we locate the chords first. We have an F7. So we're trying to keep most of our playing towards the center between frets 3 and 10-ish for the most part. So I'm not going to grab the F7 that's down at the 1st fret. We're going to grab the F that's on the 5th string at the 8th fret. Let's start there. Now, in reality, there's no rules about this. It's just where I'm sort of guiding you to help you learn up here in the neck, where we're working on. We've done a lot of work down in first position, so now we're working on up the neck. And most often, when we're playing songs that use all bar chords, we're really sticking to that part of the neck. Frets 3 to 9 or 10 is really our sort of our central locale. So we've got F7. we need to use the dominant 7th shape instead of the major shape, so F7. Then we're looking for B flat. We have a B flat at the 6th fret of the 6th string. Those two, F and B flat, are not alphabetically adjacent, so surprise, surprise, we're switching string sets to avoid shifting all the way down to fret 1. And the other one that we're going to need on this is G minor. So we kind of have two choices. We can go down to the G minor at the 3rd fret because we have one 3rd fret 6th string, or we can go up to G minor at the 10th fret, G on the 5th string, 10th fret. Either one, they're both about the same distance. So it kind of depends on how you want to get back. I'm going to go ahead and grab, if you do G minor here and then C7, you're going to have to jump back up for the F7. If you go up high, G minor, C7, F7. So it really doesn't matter, but you can do either way. I'm probably going to grab the one at the 10th fret, but I may grab the one at the 3rd fret and then do C7 and then jump back up. So it's up to you. But we do have that C7 at the 3rd fret off the 5th string, or at the 8th fret off the 6th string. Let's go ahead and go down, up, slap, down, up, down, up, down, up, slap, down on this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and F7 to B flat 7. F7, F7, B flat 7. Back to the F7. Got G minor and C7, F7, back to C7, again, F7, B flat 7, F7, B flat 7, back to the F7, we got the G minor, C7, F7, C7, and they're on F7. Classic blues progression there, with all those dominant 7ths and then the 1 minor. Now G minor, F up to the F7 up to the G minor makes a lot of sense because they're so close together. The only reason I would have chosen to go down is if I just didn't want my chord sounding that high. Otherwise, it's fine. It's the closest up there. Okay, let's look at number 19. So we already know where F and B flat and C are. We just need to make sure that we're playing F major this time, B flat major this time, still C7. As we progress through it, we're going to have B flat minor, we're going to have an E flat minor. So that E flat, 6th fret, 5th string. That needs to be minor. And then we've played F7 recently, just in the last one, so B flat minor. We're just going to use the same strumming pattern that we were just doing. We're going to learn about double time feel in the next lesson, which is actually a strumming pattern that's written out there for us. We'll learn about that in the next lesson. Lesson 25. Wow. Here you go. 1, 2, ready, and F, B flat, F, C7, F, B flat, C7, F, and then you got F7, B flat minor, B flat minor, B flat minor. F7, B flat minor, B flat minor. Now, in case you've forgotten or haven't yet mastered this, when we have 2 chords per bar with the down, up, slap strumming pattern, just like down, down, up, up, down, up. We want to anticipate when there's 2 chords per bar. So down, up, slap, switch. Down, up, slap, switch is how that one goes. And then it ends major after doing that minor. Let's do this one more time. A 1, 2, ready, and F. now we'll go on over to page 103 and do number 21. So we know where E flat is, but we need to make it major, not minor. D flat, it's just going to go back and forth between those. We're going to have a B and a D flat and E flat. So you can actually go down and use the 2nd fret B. I probably would just keep everything on the same string since it's just like a step away. They're all step away. We'll still use down, down, up, down, up on this one. Down, down, up, down, up. So I should say we'll go back to down, down, up, down, up. Here you go. 1, 2, ready, and E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, D flat. Let's repeat. E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, D flat, and we'll end there on E flat. Okay, now I want to introduce us to the slap strumming technique. Mentioned it last time, but didn't actually get into it. So, as we're strumming, we can sort of strum and mute the strings with our palm at the same time. Creates this sort of slap strum technique. Can be really nice on like beats 2 and 4 because it's kind of like drums. Doom, cow, doom, cow. It kind of accents it nice. That's a place I like to stick it in. So you can work on that. With bar chords, it's really nice because you can also just relax your hand in the left hand and it helps with the muting. Creates that sort of slapping, percussive sound. Let's do it again using that. 1, 2, ready, and E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, D flat, again, E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, E flat, D flat, D flat, and then E flat. Okay, we'll go on to number 22. We've got D flat and G flat and A flat 7. So our G flat at the 2nd fret is an option. We could also play this up at the 9th, D flat and G flat, and then at the 11th for the A flat 7. It's a little high. A lot of you may be on acoustics, so we're going to go ahead and just play it down. We've got the D flat at the 4th fret on the 5th string, G flat at the 2nd fret on the 6th string, A flat 7 at the 4th fret on the 6th string. Now this is going to just use that same strumming pattern with that same slap technique. 1, 2, ready, and back to D flat, A flat 7, D flat, and G flat, and A flat 7, and D flat. Alright, and we'll go on and do number 23. B flat minor, so we've played that already. E flat 7. So instead of E flat major or E flat minor, we're going to do E flat 7. We've got A flat major, so we've done that one. Now we're going to go up to F minor, so we're making that F into a minor chord. And then we've got D flat at either 6th string 9th or 5th string 4th, doesn't matter. And then B flat minor and G flat, I'll probably go up to the 9th fret on the 6th string for that, or 5th string for that one, and then E flat 7, B flat minor. We've done the rest of those. So down, up, slap, down, up, down, up. We're going to practice that one. It's a little different than what's written there, and that's okay. We're just going to keep practicing this newer strumming pattern. Here you go. A 1, 2, ready, and... there. Okay, so we're going to go to something a little less physically demanding. You might want to stretch, and stretch just a little bit. But we're going to go over, flip clear back to page 53. As we finish off this lesson, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit with the finger picking and that down, up, slap, down strumming pattern with some first position chords. Be a little bit easier on the left hand. So we're going to start off with 900 miles. With 900 miles, we're going to use the finger picking pattern. We haven't exactly used this for a little while, but P-I-M-A, so P-I-M-A-I, A-M-I-A, P-I-M-A-I-A-M-I-A, thumb, index, middle and ring, index, ring, middle, index, ring. Just tripped there, sorry, with my finger holding the pick. So P-I-M-A-I-A-M-I-A. Just review that one and get it going. We're going to do 900 miles with that finger picking pattern. Get it going a little bit faster. Okay, so here we go. 1 and 2 and I'm walking down the track. I got tears in my eyes, trying to read a letter from my home. If that train runs right, I'll be home tomorrow night, 'cause I'm 900 miles from my home. And I hate to hear that lonesome whistle blow. If that train runs right, I'll be home tomorrow night, 'cause I'm 900 miles from my home. And I hate to hear that lonesome whistle blow. Okay, we'll flip on over to page 55 and do Wayfaring Stranger. With Wayfaring Stranger, we're going to use the strumming pattern that we've been working on. Down, up, slap, down, up, down, up. But instead of going 1 and 2 and 4 and, we're going to turn that first one into a dotted 8 and 16. So down, up, slap, down, up, down. Just doing this on an A minor, since that's the first one, the first chord in Wayfaring Stranger. Just like that. Here we go. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. But there's no sickness flip over to page 59 and do number 18. It's in 3/4 time, so we're going to use the finger plucking pattern on the board for 3/4. We've done this one before. P-I-M-A-I-A-M. So just like what we were just doing, only there's no I-A because we're missing a beat. So P-I-M-A-I-A-M. Thumb, index, middle and ring, index, ring, middle. That's what that sounds like. We're going to do that one with Scarborough Fair. So just kind of get it going. P-I-M-A-I-A-M. Just like that. 1 and 2 and 3 and are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. Remember me to the one who lives there. He once was a true love of mine. Okay, and we'll flip on over to page 60 and do number 19, the Erie Canal. Now with this one, we're going to use this finger plucking pattern I have up here on the board. It's the new one that we've been working on just recently. Thumb by itself and then index, middle, and ring are all plucked at the same time twice. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and then on beat 3, we have a thumb pluck, and on beat 4, we have index, middle, and ring plucked again. Boom, cha, cha, boom, cha. Now, as we insert this one with number 19, when there's 2 chords per measure, the first chord gets the first part, so thumb, and then the second chord gets the second part, so just like that. I've got a 1, 2, and 3, 4. I've got a mule, her name is Sal. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. She's a good old worker and a good old pal. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. We've hauled some barges in our day, filled with lumber, coal, and hay, and every inch of the way I know from Albany to Buffalo. Oh, Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge, we're coming to a town. You can always tell your neighbor, you can always tell your pal if you've ever navigated on the Erie Canal. Kind of fun. Okay, I hope you are just really enjoying playing the guitar. I sure love to play the guitar. Lots and lots of different styles. It's just so fun. Such a great, joyous activity. And I hope you're enjoying learning. So we've learned some pretty tough skills getting so you could play a whole lot of different types of music. Hope you're applying the skills that we're working on in this course to playing songs that you want to be playing. In the next lesson, in lesson 25 of the Guitar 101 series, we're going to work on alternate tunings, which will be kind of cool. Learn a little bit about those, and that'll be the new thing in the chords. We'll also review a little bit with the barre chords still, and some finger picking and strumming, of course. Learn a little bit of new strumming patterns, especially with double time feel. Learn a little bit about that. And then we'll be learning those alternate tunings. Of course, in the tablature, we're going to start working on moving up the neck, which is exciting. And in the notes, we're going to continue to work on keys. So we're specifically going to look at the key of D next time. So lots of things to continue moving forward. Keep having fun, and I'll see you next time. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care. care.